Welcome back to What Should I Play? And we're finally into winter this week, so it's time for another pickups video. So before I get started, I just want to touch on two things. First, I have a cold, so if I sound a little off, that's why. Second thing is I celebrate my birthday in the fall, so some of these were gifts from people. And as to not bog down the video thanking everyone for every single item, I just want to give a blanket thank you to all my friends and family who gave or sent me gifts this year. It's much appreciated, and it will definitely find a good home in my collection. So let's get started. First up is an N64 game that I picked up on the recommendation of my friend Alex, Mischief Makers. From what I understand, it's a game made by Treasure. It's a platformer, and it's really good. I looked up some videos online, and it looks like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, as with some of these other games, I haven't gotten to it yet because I am still playing Metal Gear Solid 5. I have just crossed the 100-hour mark, and it was actually tough for me to break myself away from it to come up here and record this video. So, no, I have not gotten to this game yet, but I will get to it as soon as I am done with Metal Gear Solid. Okay, next up, and this is actually a special pickup. This is Transformers Devastation. This is special for two reasons. The first, if you remember my E3 2015 wrap-up video, I talked about how this was one of my most anticipated games. It's a Platinum game who they really knocked it out of the park with Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance and Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1, and I'm really looking forward to playing this. And the second reason it's a special game is because this is the 1000th game I've added to my collection. That's right, I'm into the 4-digit count now. So, looking to get a lot more, keep collecting. But this one I will always remember because 1000 is a milestone number. And lastly, for the NES, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project. For anyone that loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, this is the successor. More levels, better graphics. It's all here. So if you're a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, or Turtles in Time, this one's starting to get kind of rare for the NES, so I would really recommend picking it up now. So actually that's all for the games that I got this season. Now I'm going to go into some of the DVDs and movies. Big Bang Theory, Season 8. I know a lot of people have a lot of hate for the Big Bang Theory. I don't know why. I enjoy it. I'm not one of those people that thinks that it's being made strictly to make fun of nerds or geeks. I have, in fact, lived a lot of the situations that they portray in this show. I've had my fair share of interesting roommates, so I can definitely sympathize with the characters on this show. And I'll put this with my collection of the other 7 seasons. This next batch are actually my Black Friday pickups. I was never much of a Black Friday shopper, but last year I made an off-chance stop at Best Buy and found that they have some really good deals on Blu-rays, especially on Best Friday. So these 4 movies I got for about $3 each, which if you're a movie collector, you can't beat that. And they're all classics. Actually, some I haven't seen before, I have to confess. The first of which is the original Terminator. So this, I believe, was re-released when the new film Terminator Genisys came out this summer. And this is a Blu-ray version of the first Terminator movie, which I haven't seen. I've only seen 2 and up. And one of the interesting things with this Blu-ray is it comes with a set of photographs, of production photographs. So you can see here, if I could get the glare off of it, you get Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Cameron there on the set. And there's about 6 to 8 of these. And for the $3 that I paid to get the movie and this, it's awesome. I would definitely recommend picking this up. Next up is the original Alien. Again, another movie that I've seen the sequel, I haven't seen the original, so I'm really looking forward to watching this. This one doesn't come with any special extras, but for $3 I couldn't pass it up. And third, we've got the original Ghostbusters. This one I have seen. So I just enjoy it, so I felt like I needed to add it to my collection. I don't know if I've ever seen it not edited for TV. I think every time I've seen it, it's been on TV. So maybe I'll pick up on some new jokes or gags watching through it on the Blu-ray. And lastly, this was more for my wife than me, but I also enjoy it. The Princess Bride Blu-ray and DVD. If you're a fan of fantasy in any form, you have to watch this. It's a standard. Just if you haven't seen it, go see it now. It's great. Some more movies that I didn't get on Black Friday. Avengers: Age of Ultron Blu-ray. This is the next in the Marvel series. I believe the only one I'm missing as far as Marvel Blu-rays go are Iron Man 2 for some reason and Ant-Man, but Ant-Man just came out, so I haven't had a chance to pick that one up. You'll probably see it next season. And then another new movie that came out was Furious 7. I'm a huge fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. If you remember the last video I put out, I talked about picking up Fast and Furious 6 on Blu-ray. I had originally wanted to wait till they were all out and then get whatever awesome box set they came out with, but the franchise doesn't look like it's winding down anytime soon, so I'm just going to start picking them up as I see them. And lastly, I picked up DVD, not a Blu-ray. This is Mass Effect Paragon Lost. And I actually don't know too much about this. I really liked the 3 Mass Effect games, except for the ending, which I know a lot of people share my distaste for. But I was at Walmart, and this was in the $3 to $5 bin that you see in front of the electronics section. So I figured, why not? It's game related, it's related to a franchise that I enjoy, so I picked it up. And lastly, for all you TGIF fans, this is the Boy Meets World Complete Collection. The adventures of Corey and Sean and Topanga, seasons 1 through 7, all right here in one box. This was one of my favorite shows on TGIF as a kid. And now they actually have Girl Meets World, the spiritual sequel, which actually brings back a lot of characters. And I've watched a few episodes of that. It's pretty good. I don't know that it quite captures the enjoyment of the original, but it's definitely worth watching if you are a fan of Boy Meets World. Okay. Next, I'm going to move on to some toys and other stuff. So, I got the Funko Pop BB-8. I had originally wanted to get the Sphero BB-8, but it's pretty expensive, and when I thought about how much I was really going to play with it, it didn't make sense to invest the money in it. The Funko Pop BB-8 is awesome, though. It comes with a little stand so he doesn't roll away. I have taken him out of the box. I'm just waiting to figure out where I want to set him up in my game room. And at the time of recording this, I am actually about 30 hours out from seeing Force Awakens. I will be seeing it at 10:30 on opening night, actually pre-opening night. So I'm really excited. Hopefully BB-8's not like a horrible racist or anything and I have to get rid of this figure, but I am really holding out hope. It's getting great reviews so far, but I haven't read too much because I don't want to spoil it. So next, again with the Big Bang Theory, this is the Big Bang Theory living room Lego set. This was one of the Lego Ideas kits that was voted on by Lego fans. You can go to the Lego Ideas website. I'll put the link in the description. And you can actually vote on and help choose what some of the next Lego sets are. Like I said before, I'm a big Big Bang Theory fan, so to have the living room represented, as well as all 6 of the main characters, it's pretty cool. I actually put this together and set it up on my DVD shelf next to my Big Bang Theory Blu-rays. So it just adds to that collection a little bit, and it's really neat. It's cool to see. I may have to kit bash some extra figures for possibly Raj's girlfriend if she sticks around, and Stuart. I'd like to have a Stuart figure. That'd be cool. And actually, maybe even a follow-up to this kit of the comic book store. That would be a pretty neat kit to have as well. So, some figures I picked up this season. Again, a lot of them, most of them are Marvel Legends. And I'll start with the Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure wave. I picked up Vision and War Machine, 2 additions to my Avengers crew that I've been sorely missing. And definitely need to add them in there after Age of Ultron. Vision especially played such a huge part in that movie that you can't not have him. Plus, he's one of the long-time standing members of the Avengers, as well as War Machine, but he tends to play second fiddle to Iron Man. Still, picked them up, and I have them up here with the rest of my Avengers now. Next 2 I picked up are from the Spider-Man Rhino Build-A-Figure wave. Actually, the next 4 that I picked up are from the Spider-Man Rhino Build-A-Figure wave. But I'll talk about these 2 first. Hellcat and Misty Knight. 2 heroes that I actually don't know too much about. I know Hellcat is getting her own series coming out with the all-new, all-different Marvel that's being released. So it seems like she's going to be a much bigger player in the Marvel Universe. So I picked up the figure now while it's available. And Misty Knight, I believe, is mostly related to Luke Cage and Iron Fist, whose popularity is actually blowing up right now with the release of Jessica Jones. We're getting our first introduction. We're getting our first introduction to Luke Cage. So the Heroes for Hire are certainly going to be more popular in the coming months. The other 2 from that wave I got are Kraven the Hunter and the Chameleon. And the reason I segmented those are because I tend to not get villain action figures, and I noticed that was a problem whenever I wanted to try and set up a display, or even if I was just playing with the figures, they'd have nobody to fight. So I've made it a point to actually start investing in the notable villain figures. So the first 2 I got were Kraven and Chameleon. And with those 4 figures, I actually got the majority of the Rhino Build-A-Figure, which is awesome. It's huge and totally intimidating when I put it next to my Spider-Man figure. So I hope to build up a pseudo Sinister Six for my Spider-Man figures to get put up against. The last figure I got was the SH Figure Arts Adult Gohan figure. Now, I would have much preferred a Great Saiyaman figure, but Adult Gohan's good as well. It's pretty much just a reused Goku body mold with a different head. In fact, he actually looks a lot like Yamcha. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Yamcha figure from Figure Arts soon, just because they keep reusing the orange gi body from the original Goku. Not that that's a problem. I'd love to have a Yamcha figure to fill out my Z Fighters roster. And honestly, if they keep putting out Gohan figures, I might keep buying them, just because I think Gohan was my favorite Dragon Ball Z character. Just seeing him age up from almost a toddler to an adult and see how the effects of these crazy alien attacks affected his world. It was really cool to see him go from almost helpless to being one of the most powerful fighters in the series, especially throughout the Cell Saga. So I'm definitely happy to have that Gohan figure. Okay. And lastly, I'm going to talk about some of the books that I got. First up was Star Wars Aftermath. Like I said before, I am about 30 hours out from seeing the movie, and this book was supposed to bridge the gap from the original trilogy to The Force Awakens, and all I can say about it is you can skip it. It was actually pretty boring, which is a shame because I was really excited for it. Next up is Patton Oswalt's Silver Screen Fiend, and I expect this book to be a lot more about movies and a lot less about stand-up comedy, but it's more just about Patton Oswalt's life in general and how his obsession with movies and his foray into the stand-up comedy world kind of went hand in hand. So it wasn't quite what I was expecting, but it was still an enjoyable read. If you like Patton Oswalt, or if you are a fan of stand-up comedy biographies or vintage films, I would pick this up. It's actually a quite wide-spanning base of people that would like it. So this is Wolf in White Van, and this was a New York Times bestseller, which is how I heard about it. And this is about a text-based role-playing game that is done through the mail that ends up becoming like an augmented reality type game. It got really good reviews, and it's related to gaming somehow, so I definitely picked it up. From the reviews and stuff that I read, it seems a lot like the original Ernest Cline book, Ready Player One, so I'm excited to dive into that one and see what it's all about. Next up is a modern classic, The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I haven't gotten to this yet. This is a post-apocalyptic father and son journeying through the wasteland. It's supposed to be really, really depressing, so I'll have to wait till I'm in a happier mood to start reading this, but definitely on my to-read list. Stephen King's The Dark Tower 2, Drawing of Three. I read the first Dark Tower book. Probably talked about it in the first pickups video that I did, and I actually really enjoyed it. It ended off on kind of a cliffhanger though, so I'm excited to see how the story goes, especially now that there's even more news about a TV show or movie coming out with Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba as the frontrunners for the main characters. This is Michael Vey and The Storm of Lightning. This is actually the 5th book in the Michael Vey series, and this is a young adult superhero-ish type story. It follows Michael Vey, who is a teenager with electrical powers. It's a pretty interesting series. They're quick reads, and I would recommend them for younger readers that are wanting to get into some sci-fi-ish stuff. Next up is Batgirl and Robin Year One. So I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I'm a big fan of superhero beginnings and endings. So creations of superheroes and deaths of superheroes. Just to kind of see what makes up their character from the beginning and what they're willing to let their story end for, how devoted they are to their cause. So this is actually 2 series, Robin Year One and Batgirl Year One. I was a huge fan of Batman Year One, so I'm hoping that this kind of continues on those vibes. And I am pretty familiar with Robin, not so much with Batgirl. After reading the Batgirl of Burnside new trade paperback, definitely want to dive into this one though. And lastly, from my wife for our anniversary, this is a copy of X-Men 30, signed by the artist and author Andy Kubert and Matthew Ryan. So this will definitely go up on my wall in my game room as kind of a memento of my introduction of her into nerd culture. So that's it for this season. Come back next week when we'll be back to the games. I'm actually going to be kicking off a Star Wars marathon for January, so once you're done seeing Force Awakens, if you're still all hyped up on Star Wars stuff, come back, because every week for the next 4 weeks I'll have a Star Wars game put up here, and you can continue on with the Star Wars-a-thon well into next year. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, and come back next time when I help you figure out what you should play. Click here to check out last week's episode.